Welcome back to another episode of Transportation Nation. Let's jump right into part 2 of our interview with Seth Millican.
Transportation Nation rolling strong. Benny's back and keeps us on. Hear the stories, hear the sound. Highway stretch where dreams are found.
And you made a point about the midterm, so I guess that's kind of raising an eyebrow for you that there could be some things come down the pipe that we're not even thinking about right now that could hurt us. But you said that this administration is pro-business and pro-trucking.
They are, absolutely. And we've seen that. We were actually in Washington last week with Administrator Bars and his senior team. We're really excited about his leadership. He obviously has a great background coming from Florida, coming from the law enforcement community, but coming from a pro-business state. And I would say I have been really, really grateful to Major Montgomery and his team as we've gotten to know them and kind of understand their worldview of how law enforcement and business should work together. They are absolutely pro-business. They want to partner with us as we want to partner with them and make sure that, yeah, we're safe, we're compliant, but also that we're operating well and we're able to turn a profit. They very much understand that that's our goal. Same thing for Administrator Bars. And so what's the old saying, personnel is policy. I think for trucking, that has worked out really well for us.
That's good to hear. Well, I noticed you mentioned earlier about congestion in our state, but let's talk about parking too. Parking can be a challenge for truck drivers, right? And
absolutely.
I know the federal government has put some funding out there to help with this situation. So can you tell us how that's helping us in Georgia for our carriers?
Absolutely. So truck parking has been top of the list, I would say, for DOT, our state DOT, even if you talk to Janine Miller, the planning director there, Commissioner McMurray, they are well aware of our need for additional truck parking. Georgia's got about 7,000-ish truck parking spaces statewide. The vast majority of those are private. I think 75 to 80% of those are probably private. And so I know DOT has been looking for ways to, and it's not a cheap proposition. Obviously, you have to acquire the real estate or the right-of-way or whatever, and then have the funding available to create the infrastructure. And so that $200 million that's been made available through the appropriations bills that passed a couple of weeks ago, that will likely, we don't know this for sure, but that will likely be not formula funds. It'll be grant funds. So we'll have the ability as a state to apply for those funds. If awarded those grants, then we can apply that to construction of truck parking in certain areas around Georgia. Now, a lot of folks outside the industry, when you talk about truck parking, they think about a parking lot, right? Maybe some lights. But we know, based on the work that ATRI does with their annual driver survey, that top of mind for a lot of our drivers in Georgia is not just having a place to park the truck, but a place that's safe, that offers, particularly for female drivers. We all know, like, we all need more female drivers.
And we have female drivers in this company.
Yeah, they're better drivers. It is scientifically proven that women are better drivers than men. Just ask my wife.
Thank you so much for saying that. We got it on the podcast for the record.
Yeah, that's right. But if we want for those ladies to be able to drive and feel safe, they can't just pull over in a parking lot. It probably needs to be fenced. It needs to be secure. There need to be amenities there. And so that type of truck parking is a lot more expensive than just, paving a pad somewhere. Right. So the good news is we live in a pro-business state. This is a priority for DOT, and I know that to the extent they're able to get access to any of those federal funds, they'll use them wisely.
Yesterday morning I had to go to North Georgia for something, and we were driving on the interstate, and we drove by a what do you call it? Where the rest area. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. A rest area. We come up on that rest area, Seth. And that you couldn't see many cars, but you could see a lot of trucks. Yep. But the problem with that, there was trucks lined up on the coming into the rest area, and there was a gazillion more on the exit ramp coming out. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, I would think that's a little dangerous, but they have to stop because of the hours of service. So, and I'm thinking that's terrible. I mean, they're parked everywhere in that rest area trying to, meet their requirements as a driver.
Yeah. And it's tough for them because you're right. They're kind of handcuffed, right? They don't have a choice when that ELD says it's time to stop, they have to stop. But for them and for the motoring public, to your earlier point about safety for the motoring public, probably one of the worst places you can park is on an off ramp. Because then that's where folks are coming off the interstate. Who knows if they're driving the correct speed or not. Last thing you want is for one of those cars to hit the back of one of our trucks.
Yeah.
That's another lawsuit, right? So a lot of issues kind of tied up in that, but I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to make some progress on that.
That'll be good.
That's good.
That'll be good.
That's good. So we know that you guys have a convention coming up in June.
We do.
So what are some key items that y'all are preparing for that convention, or just things in general this year that are going to help drivers and carriers from just legislation, training, safety? I know you guys are really big on education.
Absolutely. Great question. So one of the things that we had the opportunity to do last year as we were working through, me coming in, being the new guy, as we kind of reorganized how our board of directors works and how they interact with the association. And so we've got a number of different working committees on our board now, from legislative to PAC or political action committee to marketing, communications, events. So one of the things that we wanted to do was ensure that between all of our communications on social media, email newsletters, what we're saying to legislators, these presentations that we go out and give in communities. I'll be down in Macon, Georgia tomorrow, speaking to a civic club down there, talking to them about why trucking is important, as well as all of our signature events, that we've got consistent communication, that the messages, the story that we're telling, and the issues that we're speaking to are consistent. And we have three, or we actually have 4 signature events every year. We have our truck driving championship. We have our convention that you mentioned in the summer. We have a golf tournament in the summer as well. And then we have our leadership conference in November, which is heavily geared towards leadership folks in our member companies. So this year, I think I'm really excited because this will be the first year that we've really been able to go to those board committees and say, what are you hearing? What do we need to be talking about? What are you concerned about? And so they're really going to be driving that content conversation with us. And I can tell you, there's a couple of things that folks are interested in. Number one is, what can we do in and around trucking to boost our margins until we kind of swing out of this freight recession? Whether it's moving empty containers back from the port, or what can we supplement our core business model with to improve those margins until we get back to a place where we can make real money doing what we really do at our core. So that's one question. The regulatory and compliance question is always there. How do we stay on top of regulatory trends? How do we try to be proactive as opposed to reactive with those? Another key area is workforce development. How do we not just go out and fill open jobs, but how do we keep from having open jobs? How do we retain the folks that we have now? Because in this economy, the best workforce development strategy is keeping the people you got, right? So workforce development will be a key part of what we're talking about. And then I think the other area that you will see a lot of conversation about at our events is how, as a trucking industry, we do a better job at punching our weight in the political process. It is, and I think this past legislative session was a great illustration of why it's important to be involved politically. Major victory on tort reform. We need to make sure that from a political perspective, leadership, when they're considering major issues, goes, hang on just a second. Have we talked to the truckers? Do we know what the truckers think about this? That's where we need to be as an industry. And so we're going to be focused really heavily on educating our members and even folks that are trucking companies that are not members about why it's so important to be engaged politically, contributing to pro-business candidates, building relationships between our members and the elected officials in their communities, making our voice heard at the Capitol. That's going to be a priority for us moving forward. Because number one, we've got a lot more good stuff we want to do on behalf of the industry, but we also don't want to lose any of the progress that we've made over the last couple.
Yeah, you got to stay focused on that. Well, we did notice on your website that you have training curriculum for the carriers. How does that work, and are they taking advantage of that opportunity from your association?
That is something that we view as a huge growth opportunity. We as an association have relationships with different training providers that we've been offering for the last couple of years, and we'll have a couple hundred folks go and take advantage of those opportunities. But I think to the earlier question about like what is our focus as an association, one of the big takeaways that we got from that strategic planning process that I mentioned was that we've got a huge opportunity to grow and scale our what I call our legacy program. So that's our events, that's our training, that's our curriculum, and really identify where carriers find gaps in what they're able to offer their employees. And so we're going to be having a pretty extended conversation over the next 12 months or so with a number of different stakeholders on how can we build a kind of a one-stop shop training program. Again, this would be under our foundation where we can recruit a kid out of high school, put them through training opportunities. They want to be a driver. They want to be a diesel tech. They want whatever it is they want to do in the industry. But then also provide resources to carriers that are in business. If you have gaps in your compliance or if you have gaps in your safety training, let us know. We've got a product for you. And so last fall we launched a new website. It's gatruckingsolutions.org. I think it's either .org or .com, and that's going to be the home for all of our affinity programs.
Nice.
We already have a workers' comp partnership that we have with Alliance Interstate Risk. That's a very successful program for a lot of our members. We brought online a health insurance provider they can provide W-2 team insurance, independent contractors. So we've got that partnership, and then we're being very intentional about identifying other affiliate relationships that we have where we can bring training solutions, back office solutions, discount programs online. And eventually that'll be a one-stop shop for all of our carriers to go. I don't think we'll ever have a single product that 100% of our members will use, but if every single one of our members can go to that website and find one thing they'll use, then I think that will be successful.
Sounds like you'll have a variety of them.
Yes.
that they could choose to help them. So that's
100%.
good.
So Seth, let's back up a little bit. You kind of touched on this earlier, but let's go back to the topic on how so many people want to sue trucking companies. I mean, that's no secret, right? There's billboards all over these interstates right outside of here. So you guys, going back to the education piece, how do y'all work on educating, if that's the right word, working, to talk about this?
We beat the plaintiff's bar.
Yes.
That's a great question. So I will say, I think kind of case study from last year where you had a very unusual in the sense that it doesn't happen this way often. Unity between our elected leadership and the business community. And when I say the business community, I mean the entire business community. From Governor Kemp to Speaker Burns to Lieutenant Governor Jones, this was clearly a leadership priority. So I think that was step one. And if we're being honest, without Governor Kemp's leadership, this doesn't get done, right? So that's number one. Number two was we had probably the broadest coalition of business interests working together, rowing in the same direction that I've ever been a part of. And I've been down there almost 25 years.
Wow.
when we would meet in the mornings, to kind of brief out what that day was going to look like, we were sitting in a room with probably 15 or 20 other business trade associations just like ours, hospitality, food services, highway contractors. I mean, you name it, those folks were in the room. So there was there was a unique level of unity there among the business community. Number 3, and we talked a little bit about this a while ago, is going to be making sure that we get pro-business people elected to office. That's going to be our biggest focus over the next 8 months. Obviously, Georgia's in a unique position in that all of our statewide constitutional offices are up for election or re-election. Governor Kemp, unfortunately, is term limited, and so the governor's seat will be open, the lieutenant governor's seat will be open, and then obviously your statewide offices on down the line. We anticipate there being a lot of open seats in the legislature. We obviously have an inordinately large legislature in Georgia, second largest in the country. We've got 180 members of the House, 56 members of the Senate. We believe, obviously, we'll know here in about a month, we're probably going to need to be active in probably 20 or 30 of those races on behalf of pro-business candidates. So I think to your point, your question about making sure that we're in a position to guard against degradation of what is now a very balanced civil justice environment, electing the right leaders, right, and in positions of influence, being active politically, and then staying in close coalition with our other business community partners, I think is going to be key to being successful there.
Sounds like it. Well, I tell you what, man, you've brought a lot to the table today, a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
Especially in the association. I mean, you guys are really trying to help the Georgia drivers and the carriers, the trucking companies in the state of Georgia. So I was thinking you probably don't get a whole lot of rest at night because you're thinking about all the stuff that's going on and stuff you got to think about not only in Georgia, but what's going on in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There is a lot of stuff going on, but it's good stuff. It's good work. Association, I tell people all the time, like, association work is not complicated work, but it's hard work. All you do is go out and ask your members, like, hey, what do we need to be doing? What do you want? And then you go do it. It's pretty simple. But again, for a state like Georgia, for an industry like this, there's always going to be something to do, and that's exciting to me. I'm not a sit around guy, and so that's exciting to me. But I will say, I was at the chamber for 13 years. Coming in here, by far my favorite part has been getting to know the people, coming out and visiting companies, meeting the executive team, meeting the frontline workers. This industry is just packed with great people. And that's been really exciting for me. And it makes it easy. It really makes it easy to get up and go, all right, here's what we got on the list for today. Here's what's on the list for this month. And I will say, we do have a lot going on, but we were very intentional on how we built out that strategic plan that I mentioned. That's a 5-year work plan for us as an association. So we know exactly what we're trying to do when. We've got benchmarks, we've got timelines, and we want to be accountable for it. Our goal is to take the things that we identified as a part of that process, and we're going to execute on them.
That's important. I know I want to throw a shout out to Danny Lauer. He's the one who, one of the owners here who helped bring you here because he felt it was very important to make sure that not only ourselves, but everybody in the state of Georgia hears a message from you and what's going on.
Absolutely.
So that's good stuff. Let's jump to a little fun stuff here. So in April, you got the truck championships coming in. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'd say this every chance I get an opportunity. Shout out to Emily Crane on our team. Emily is our vice president of safety and engagement. She runs everything in our shop related to events, safety, marketing. Biggest, and we think best, but definitely biggest truck driving championship in the country. We had 203 drivers that came out last year. Wow. And so
where'd y'all have it at?
It's at Lake Lanier Islands.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It's a little bit of a little bit tough to find a location that has enough lodging and a big enough parking lot where we can actually do this. But we had about just over 200 drivers last year. Great time, runs about 2 days. So the drivers come in, they do a written test, and then there's actually a course that they will come out and drive, obviously by class. I think we have 5 or 6 different classes that drive. And they spend 2 days driving, and we cook out, and there's great food, and families come and watch them. Commercial vehicle enforcement is out there. And then the winners in those divisions then qualify to go on and compete at the National Truck Driving Championship, which last year was in Minnesota. I think it might be in Pennsylvania this year. Emily will correct me if I say that incorrectly. But, I think for us, we do a lot of events that are focused on folks that run these businesses that are in the C-suite. This is a great opportunity for us to celebrate the drivers. And they have a great time coming out and competing against each other. We've got an announcer. So for every driver that comes out, we talk about them. We talk about their bio. We talk about their family and their hobbies. So it's just a great opportunity.
And that means a lot to them.
Yeah. And it's a great opportunity for us to get a couple hundred of them in the room and say, guys, look, we couldn't do what we do without y'all, and remind them how important they are. So it's a great event. We have a lot of fun with it. And I would encourage anybody that is interested, go on our website. You can register to compete. If you don't want to compete, just come hang out with us. It's a great time.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, we're getting ready to wrap up this session of Transportation Nation, and we're glad you came with us today. But if you had one message that you would like to deliver to the carriers and the drivers in the state, what would it be?
Y'all get plugged in. Find somewhere to get plugged in with what we're doing. I'm really excited about where we're headed as an association. I'm extremely humbled and grateful for the opportunity to represent this industry. If you're not plugged in to the association, send us an email, get on the website, follow us on social media. Just come attend an event. Come to one of our safety council meetings, come to convention, come to something like that. Get a chance to see what we're all about and what we're talking about doing, but also get a chance to meet all the other folks in the association. It is a great community. It's a great group of folks, and we're really looking to grow that. We represent a couple of hundred carriers in Georgia. We know there's about 35,000 carriers in Georgia that could or should be members of ours. And so we're really looking to grow the family here. And so love to get anybody plugged in that wants to.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've been members for, I don't know, we've been in business 52 years. So we've been members since forever, I think, Lee.
Way longer than I've been here for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Seth, so much for joining us today, for all of your amazing insight. And we can tell that you have a heart for drivers and for this industry. We're just so excited that you're in this seat and to hear all the amazing things that y'all have, that you're working on, your strategic plan, your events, and just educating us on what's coming down the pipeline and what we can expect from a legislation point of view. So this has been a wonderful conversation, and we appreciate you being with us today.
Appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed it.
It's been great. So thank you. For everybody, this wraps up another episode of Transportation Nation. Thanks for joining us. And until our next one, God bless, and please be safe out there on the roads.
Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Together, we can move anything.
Dreams of